This guy on hold right here called in right after last year's smack off. And if Stucknut has it right, in July of 2018, this guy got a golden ticket for the 2019 version, and he did so in part with this call.
Jim, Fonzie is the first clone ever. He was a clone before you were even born. Think about it, clones. The character Fonzie on Happy Days was an adult male, aged somewhere between 30 and 45, not married, no kids, and living in the spare bedroom of a suburban family's home. Now that's a clone if ever there was one, Jim. I wonder if Fonzie's full name was Arthur Caleb Fonzarelli. Jim, while my respect for the Fonz as a clone has skyrocketed, my respect for the notion of the TV character Fonzie as a ladies' man has plummeted. No wonder he never got a second date with Pinky Tuscadero. Turns out his hopes of scoring with her got malachi crunched between two realities. He doesn't have enough money to take her anywhere better than Arnold's, and two, the bed he wanted to take her to is in the spare bedroom of Mr. and Mrs. Cunningham's house. You know, that elbow in the jukebox trick is a lot less cool when the song that drops is Beck's Soy Un Perdedor. But that's what you get when you hang with Ralph and Patsy. Bow, 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 bow. Bow, 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 bow. In the time of Happy Days, Lunch with the Monkey. Okay, enough of that. Jim, I don't want to blow the best first call in jungle history by going too long, so I'll leave you now with a quote from Keith Richards. After all is said and done, got to move while it's still fun. Better walk before I get run. Bam, 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 bam.
So he called a shot. That might have been the best jungle debut call ever. Find me a better one. That might have been the best first call to this show ever. So one of those calls where, number one, I was crying. I was laughing so hard. And number two, like a lot of you, my reaction was, what the hell just happened? Who the hell was that? And what the hell just happened? And then the conspiracy theories about how that guy, Jeff in Southfield, was really Mike in Indy. And we never really made any sense of it, except that on his very first call ever, he made that mark, and he ripped a golden ticket, and he's been picking his spots carefully ever since. We go to Southfield right now. Jeff in Southfield. Jeff, how are you? What's up?
Thank you for the vine, Jim. Put on your seatbelts, clones, while I take you on my road trip. As I leave my home state of Michigan, I am greeted by a road sign that says, "Welcome to Indiana, the crossroads of America." Sounds like Indiana knows that no one wants to stay there. I took the sign's advice and kept going on to the next state. Soon I was greeted by a road sign that said, "Welcome to Wisconsin, where every high school quarterback looks like Jared Lorenzen." I looked at a map of Milwaukee and discovered that while some cities have districts, like a financial district or a theater district, Milwaukee has an all-you-can-eat buffet district. I thought, what better way to experience Wisconsin than to make a gluttonous pig of myself? So I headed straight there. But upon arriving, my excitement turned to confusion. All of the streets were empty. All of the windows were boarded up. And door after door after door all had the same sign. But that sign didn't say, "out of business." It said, "Eaton out of business." As I walked back to my car, I noticed the ground beneath my feet felt more compressed than normal ground. The forensic evidence was undeniable, Jim. Wisconsin is fat. But what do you expect from a state that has given up literature, science, and the arts for cheese production, cheese consumption, and cheese-related fashion? And the worst kind of cheese, too. Jim, I'm proud to be an American, but I'm not proud of that cheap crap we call American cheese. Not only is American cheese not worthy of having its slices individually wrapped, its outer wrap should be a clown suit. It's the bozo of cheeses. The number of Europeans whose vacation to America includes wanting the freshest sample of our American cheese is none. When the other cheeses have a party, American cheese sits home uninvited and eats a whole pack of itself from depression. Let's face it, the only thing American cheese is good for is drowning out the cheap taste of fast food hamburgers. Upon considering that the state that has the cows for making cheese is also making the burgers, I realized what Wisconsin truly is. Clones, Wisconsin is the bubbling fountain that produces the raging river that is McDonald's. Thanks a lot, Wisconsin. Before leaving Wisconsin, I decided to go to McDonald's, figuring it might taste better closer to its source. I walked in and ordered a Big Mac, but they just looked at me with confusion. They didn't know what a Big Mac was. In Wisconsin, they just call it a Mac. As I headed home, I was greeted by a road sign that said, "Welcome to Michigan, the Winter Wonderland. We call it that because every winter we wonder why the hell we live here. That's a wrap, Jim. War, smack off, 25, fever. Brad versus the field, my ass.
Jeff in Southfield. Man, my man. He is a kook. Go ahead. Brad, that call. That American cheese bit. American cheese stays home because it never gets invited to any of the other cheese parties, and then it eats a pack of itself out of depression? Is that what my man just said? Jeff in Southfield. Adam Hawk, pick up the headphones really quickly. So when you said to Homeboy, what are you going to say? What was his response? We've got about 30.
He told me he couldn't tell me and that to just put him on the air, and he's been sitting on this gold for a while. And
you said what?
I said, I'm responsible for what goes on the air. If it's in violation of the FCC, it's going to look bad on me, and I'm the gatekeeper of what goes on the air. And he said, Hawk, just put me on hold right now. I'm not telling you a word of what I'm saying.
It's a good thing you did, too. All right, there it is. Jeff in Southfield, and he ended that by saying, Brad versus the field, my ass. Jeff in Southfield looking to win the smack off. Man, that'd be something else. Can you imagine that guy wearing that crown for a whole year? Can you imagine that guy wearing that crown for an entire year? Jeff in Southfield.